The biggest tip I could give on these tricep extensions and what's gonna fix your shoulder pain or that feeling of shoulders. What is up, y'all? Welcome to the channel. Today I'm going over a shoulder and arms workout. So if you have a split that is, for example, a chest and back, shoulders and arms and legs, then this is perfect for you. And it's also super great if you have plateaued in your shoulder training, because I'm gonna go a lot of concepts of breaking through the plateaus as far as shoulders is involved. For example, experienced lifters, and also some key exercises that are great for beginner lifters. All right, so quick little physique check right here at the very beginning. For me, I wish I had really good shoulder genetics. You'll see that I got good amount of striations right here. However, that muscle belly is super, super long on my shoulders. So as you kind of tell right here, like there's no cap. But don't worry, it's just your genetics. A lot of the times, you just don't have good shoulder genetics. I don't have broad shoulders. I'm 6'2", but I don't have broad shoulders, so it don't look too extreme. From the side though, I look pretty saucy, I'm not gonna lie. All right, now, for the workout, I am going to have all the number of reps, sets in the description down below. How many sets, how much volume you're doing depends on your fitness age, right? How long you've been working, and also what your training split looks like, how close you're pushing to failure. But I will put how much I'm doing as a guideline in the description. And for all these exercises, I will be linking, I think I have a tutorial vid on almost all of them in the description. So for each exercise you see on here, I'll have that link to the full tutorial in the description with it. All right, so I'm starting off with a Smith machine shoulder press. And the reason why I'm doing a Smith machine shoulder press is that it's really good for both beginners and advanced lifters. It's really great for beginners because it not only trains the shoulders, it also helps you keep that bar in front of your face to load that front delt, and it keeps the form a little bit more stricter than if you're using dumbbells. Less risk of injury if you're doing a shoulder press on a Smith machine. It also helps you hit a little bit more of the triceps as well too. And the reason why it's good for experienced lifters is because once you start to get towards the dumbbells, a weight that it's not just hard to press, right, but hard to get into position, you could actually injure yourself very, very easily just getting those dumbbells into position. And a lot of times too, it's hard to push close to failure because that risk of injury is a little bit too high. And as you're pressing upwards and kind of reaching, you'll often stop yourself because if you keep on going, you're probably going to injure yourself. So on a Smith machine shoulder press, you could really push close to, if not past failure, helping yourself a little bit with the chest and the triceps. And you have that fixed bar path, so less risk of injury with that involved. So coming into the shoulder press right here, you'll see that I'm angled on that Smith machine to where when I'm coming down, the bar is going in front of my face. And when I'm pushing up, it's going behind my body. This is perfect because it mimics the shoulder press path that we want, for example, with dumbbells, right? We want those elbows to come slightly forward, and as we push up and right over the top of our head. So that bar path is super crucial. And you see that it's really close to my face. And the reason that is because if I have it too far away, what's gonna happen as I go down is those elbows are gonna come backwards. You'll see a little bit of that right here. And that a little bit of that is okay, but you don't want it too excessive. Not going all the way down to tap that chest because of this reason, is because if I go too far down, right, there's a bit fixed bar path. I can't fix that. So when I'm coming down, right, those elbows travel backwards and I'm no longer stacking that elbow and that wrist together, meaning I got a little bit more tension in that wrist. And I'm also, to get it up, I'm using a little bit of that chest to push forward as I go upwards. So that's the reason why I'm not going all the way down. Another super key important thing on the shoulder press is as you are going up, don't just think about pressing upwards towards the ceiling. Think about almost pushing those elbows forward. So if you get that first rep in, don't just go ahead and press. Push those elbows forward, stack the wrist and those elbows the best that you can, because that's gonna help you just drive upwards, versus if you have that elbow tilted backwards, you're gonna be pushing a lot with that chest. So think about pushing elbows forward, push up, and almost like you're trying to push behind your body. That way you're loading more of the shoulders better than using a lot of the chest. And yeah, let me get more into as far as breaking through plateaus and why I love the Smith machine. You could push past failure because you have a little bit more help with the triceps, a little bit more help with that chest. So whenever you plateau on, let's say, a dumbbell shoulder press, I recommend, instead of trying to just keep on pushing, maybe go into more bulk than you already are, swap exercises, progress that one, and 9 times out of 10, when you go backwards, when you go back to that exercise that you had plateaued on, maybe you start off a little bit slower, but then you resensitize that muscle, that motion, that exercise, and you actually will be able to increase it a lot better. So swap out some exercises. Don't try to stick with the same thing for too long. For example, and this machine is a great alternative. And this is a shoulder and arm workout, so shoulders, biceps, and triceps. Next up, we'll go into our first bicep exercise, and we're gonna be supersetting that with shoulders as well too. So let's go through that bicep exercise. And I'm starting with a machine preacher curl. You could also use dumbbells if you don't have a preacher curl machine, but the reason why I'm using this machine preacher curl is because the resistance profile is so amazing. The good thing about this hammer strength preacher curl is it's easiest at the bottom. By easiest, I mean, you know, not as heavy as the top. So it's easier right here, and as you go upwards, it gets a little bit harder, which is perfect because those biceps are strongest when that elbow is flexed 90 degrees. Sometimes you'll find preacher curls where it's hardest at the very bottom and gets lighter as it goes up, which is complete opposite to the resistance, the strength profile of those biceps. So if you have that one like that, I'll honestly just recommend doing it with some dumbbells. But if you have a machine like this where it's lightest at the bottom, hardest at the very top, you'll be able to push really close to failure versus the other way around. If you ever had like a preacher curl, you're doing a preacher curl machine and you're getting at the reps out and then one more and you're like stuck at the bottom, you likely have one that has a resistance profile where it's hardest at the very bottom and lightest as it goes upwards. So let's talk about form on this one. I'm doing one arm at a time. The reason I'll be doing all my bicep exercises one arm at a time, just because my left arm is a little bit injured. So I'm honestly just doing isometric holds on that left arm and it's getting better. But I'm doing one arm at a time on all of these. So if you think that you can train both at the same time, no worries. And another benefit to training one arm at a time is that you could push past failure, and I'll show you how to do that. If you're doing one at a time, like I'm right here, you would go past failure. You got the opposite arm to help you kind of get that weight up, get 1, 2, 3, 4 more reps out, and help you get a little bit more out of the workout, break through plateaus as well too. But yeah, that's perfect. And now we were supersetting it with some seated dumbbell lateral raises. So the reason I'm doing seated, you could do it standing. I don't care what you do, but I'll give you the reason why I'm doing seated. I've been doing standing lateral raises for a while now, and then a lot of times you will lose a little bit of my muscle connection because you're using a lot of body sway, things like that. So you could kind of go back to your seated lateral raise to kind of build up my muscle connection, eliminate a lot of body sway, and just really isolate those side delts. And you'll notice on the form, I'm not straight out to my side, right? I'm not out straight with my elbow underneath that shoulder. I have my elbow just a little bit forward, as you kind of tell right here. Now, there's a lot of talk about being in the scapular plane. Obviously, yes, but the scapular plane is a range, right? Anywhere between 15 to 30 degrees. For me, all like 30 degrees forward, I don't feel good in my muscle connection with those. And so I do it just slightly forward, about 15 degrees. I don't have a protractor with my workout. I just know and feel it. So regardless of what these influencers tell you, including myself, find the one that feels the best for your shoulders, the one that you really feel good my muscle connection. Whether it's 30 degrees, 15 degrees, freaking 0.2 degrees forward in front of your torso. Another thing that I'm doing with this one, and what can help you develop more shoulders, is that go past failure on lateral raises. And how you're gonna do that is you get your reps. Right here, I'm doing 10 to 12 reps on this one. And then doing 10 partials at the end, all right? And focus on control. Don't just allow that weight to go back down easy. So I get those 10 to 12 reps, and then once I can get it about shoulder height, then I go into some partial lateral raises. I'm just pushing out to the side, trying not to let those dumbbells or my forearms touch those thighs, and you'll feel a crazy burn. It's not gonna look like you're doing much, but you are gonna be feeling it. All right, on to the next superset. I'm doing machine lateral raises. And you'll see, just like I did the dumbbell lateral raises, I don't have my elbows just right to the sides, right? I have those elbows just slightly forward in front of my torso, and that's gonna allow me to feel those shoulders a little bit better. If you have them all the way next to the side of your body, you're gonna be feeling a lot of those traps on that way upwards, and we're not training traps today, we're training shoulders. And another thing that you'll notice is for this setup, you want to have it to where like the bottom half of your forearm is at the bottom of those pads. If you take a look right there, it's kind of half on my upper arm and half on my forearm. And that's gonna allow you to get a better arm muscle connection, because if you just have it all on those forearms, you're not gonna be able, it's gonna feel very, very weird. Also, just like a regular dumbbell lateral raise, think about lengthening and pushing those arms, in this case our elbows this time, to the corners of the room. So think about you're reaching and spreading your arms apart. You'll feel a lot better arm muscle connection on this exercise. And you'll notice I'm doing something freaking cool on this one. Sorry, my hair is pretty crazy. I just worked out and whatever. But you see that my arm is kind of, my back of my arm is resting on that pad. If you don't have this, you can honestly do it on a cable lat pull down. The thigh pad where your thighs go, that could be the back of the armrest, like I'm doing right here. But it's super easy because I could just superset super quick. What's up? Because of this. And when you have that back support, you'll feel a lot less strain on that shoulder. Especially if you've ever kind of do the bicep curls, and as you're finishing off, you're bringing that arm up. That touch on the back of the arm is gonna help you be like, okay, don't let my arm come up too high and use a lot of the shoulder. And on that way down, it's gonna provide a lot of support as well too. All right, next up for the shoulders. Yeah, I think we have 3 exercises for those shoulders as far as the side delts go. And this is the next one up. We have some leaning lateral raises. This is gonna help us target those side delts in the lengthened position at the very bottom. So when you're doing these leaning lateral raises, here I'm doing it on a preacher curl bench because of the superset I'm doing. So keep watching for my bicep exercise. You're like, I already did preacher curls, doing something different. So stay tuned. But you could do it with the bench, incline about 60 degrees or however much you like. Obviously, the more angle, the more tension at the very bottom of this exercise. And on this one, to get a good stretch on the very bottom, kind of just like have that hand slightly in front of those thighs at the very bottom, you'll get just a tiny bit better stretch. And just like we're doing any lateral raise, don't just think about pulling up, think about reaching to the corners of the room, slightly in front of your body as well too. But yeah, and then we're doing something cool with this one as well too. Once you reach failure, so I'm getting about 10 to 12 reps on this one. Once I can't get any more, right, bring it up to shoulder height, then I'll go ahead and stand up straight and I'll rep out 3 to 6 more lateral raises, just regular lateral raises out that way. And that has really helped me grow my shoulders a lot, is doing techniques to push past failure because shoulders are tricky. You probably know shoulders are tricky. Anything you can do to help you get closer to failure on those side delts is going to be really good for the development of those shoulders, especially those side delts, give you that 3D effect. And I'm supersetting this with some incline bicep curls. All right, so I'm doing something very, very cool. I'm using the same principle that I did on the previous bicep exercise. I have some back support. If you don't have a preacher curl bench, you could just do it on a bench, incline, about the same incline I'm doing right here, about, about 60 degrees. But you'll see right there, I have the back support again. This is also gonna help prevent me from, on the incline curls, you see a lot of guys at the very end kind of reaching that elbow up too high or about halfway through the set, and that is not what we want. We want that arm to be behind the torso, right, to help us target more of that long head of the bicep. So this is honestly perfect. You just are on the opposite side of that preacher curl bench or facing the other way, hips slided forward. That way you ever have that arm behind the body, gonna be in shoulder extension right there. Extending that arm backwards behind your body. That's gonna help us target that long head a little bit more. I'm doing it towards the very end. Staples are always gonna be your preacher curl and your regular dumbbell bicep curl, whether it's hammer curl or a supinated underhand grip. These are just the icing on top, so if you don't wanna do this one, no worries. Get the full range of motion, guys. The reason why your biceps aren't growing is because you're not taking to the full range of motion. You're not doing with control. You're swaying a lot with that upper body. Stop it. And boom, awesome. Now we're getting those triceps fired up. I'm doing a warm-up set before I go into my working set, because although I'm warmed up, I haven't really trained the triceps directly. So I want to get that flexion of that elbow and warm up that elbow joint too. So don't just go straight into it. Get a warm-up set, about half the weight, or whatever you want to do, at least one warm-up set so you could feel that motion and get those my muscle connection fired up, get those triceps fired up. And cool thing on this one too, I am just using that pre-trick roll bench again. The thing is, you could do it on a bench. In the tutorial in the description, you'll know how to do it. But you could do it on a bench. Angled is about the same, 60 degrees. I'll just do it on this one because it's easier to do my superset. So yeah, use this to your advantage because sometimes there's not a bench available, so you kind of have to improvise. And that's how I learned to do this one right here. But yeah, overhead tricep extension, kind of pseudo skull crusher. But this one, as compared to laying flat down, I'm gonna be able to, for example, let's say I'm laying down right here. That's where the bar stops. Or let's say I go behind my head. There's not a lot of tension right there in that length position. But that's why I like doing it right here, about a 60-degree incline right there. And how you know you're getting deep enough is that those knuckles, they'll be going, you'll see right here, those knuckles will be going past the earlobe, the bottom of that ear, to get a full stretch. And also with the angle of those arms, you don't want them too tight to the body like this, or the head, and you don't want them too flared out, right? Roughly about 30 degrees outwards, and try to keep it consistent through that entire exercise. And also try to keep those wrists straight. Try not to let those wrists relax too much. It's gonna make it a little bit easier, but to make it harder on those wrists. So easy on the triceps, hard on those wrists. So doing that words right there. And we're getting fancy with it too again. So we're gonna do a technique to go past failure on this tricep. And we're doing this also because we only got 2 tricep exercises today on this shoulder and arm workout. If you do this technique that I'm about to show you, that is pretty much all you need. So you'll see right there, I'm going, I can't get any more reps out. Then, right, you shrug out my shoulders, boom, bring it forward, press it up like a shoulder press, and just take it through that eccentric. So I'll do anywhere between 1 to 3 eccentric reps. Eccentric reps, that kind of sounds weird. The eccentric part of the rep after I reach failure, and that is going to be toasting your triceps. Just be careful, don't hit your head and don't hit that nose on that way down. But yeah, and then I'm finishing out with standing cable tricep extensions. You could use whichever grip you want. This one works best for me, the one that looks like a W. I don't like that V-bar one because you'll often find that it's great for the very top, but at the very bottom, you'll be pushing with that chest a little bit too much. So I like this one. You could do a cable tricep extension, whichever one you like, just do a cable tricep extension. And I'll tell you why I do this one. One, it allows me to have those hands a little bit wider. That way I don't have the shoulders close and pushing with the chest. And you'll notice that I am not directly underneath that cable or that pulley system. I'm angled, I'm just a couple feet backwards. That way I got some tension on the triceps at the very bottom. So I actually have to work to lock out and not just stay at the bottom and just relax. Now, the biggest tip I could give on these tricep extensions, and what's gonna fix your shoulder pain or that feeling of shoulders when you're doing this exercise, is as you're going upwards, you're not gonna see it, but imagine like you're trying to pull the elbow behind your body. You'll feel a lot more stretch in that long head of the tricep, and it'll help you keep less tension on the shoulders and that chest. And another thing, you'll see that my elbow pretty much stays close to that seam of the shirt, along the side of that shirt, right along the side of the body, and go slow on these. Control. Think about pushing down on that way up instead of just going upwards. Make sure that wrist goes above that elbow joint. At the very top, it's going to work more of that long head. Towards the bottom, you're going to work more of that lateral head. So kind of make sure you're not just pushing down at the bottom, but also like you're trying to push those hands or elbows out to the side. You'll feel a lot more work of that lateral head of the tricep. As you'll see right here, squeeze. And then what you could also do is at the very end, just get some partial reps out, or even just use that whole body weight, bring it down, and then just work that eccentric like I did on the skull crusher, right, going past failure. And I also got legs, guys. If you've commented, dude, he skips leg day, when I'm working out, like sometimes I'm like, bro, my legs are so tiny. But no, they're actually one of my greatest body parts. Yeah, so I got a little flex right there. Do I do a quad stomp? Probably, maybe. But yeah, I just had to flex those. I think I did legs the day before. They're a little bit depleted. For some reason, I'm always depleted the day after I do leg days. So they're a little bit tighter, a little bit sharper as far as more full. Yeah, I get a little quad stomp right there. Boom. But yeah, like this video, watch the other videos, the tutorials on all the exercises that I'm doing right here. Leave a thumbs up. subscribe to the channel, follow me on Instagram, TikTok, yeah, everything like that. Do that right now. That's pretty much it, guys. And then, yeah, enjoy some bloopers, probably.
Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my